Oh, here it says, do you want to make LaShante co-host?
There it is.
Is it recording now? Okay. It's 4:01. We'll give one more minute. You guys okay with giving one more minute? Just in case people are struggling. When I'm sharing my screen, can you see the chat that I just brought up on my screen? No. Okay. Hi, Jeanette. Okay, let me admit this person. Okay, so it's 4:02 and we're going to go ahead and get started so that we have time to hear all the wonderful things that we plan to talk about. So welcome to the Top 10 Attributes of Inspirational Leadership Workshop. We're super happy that you're here. Our panel today is made up of 5 people that represent inspirational leadership of the core movement across the United States. And when I tell you that we have someone from west to east, we do. We have someone from Puerto Rico all the way to Hawaii. So they have done a great job putting together a panel that will represent everyone. So welcome. The great thing about this workshop is that these panelists started exactly where you are. And now they're working in careers that align with their passions and their experience. They have great insight. They have learned knowledge to share with you today. And at this time, I will turn it over to the panel to introduce themselves. And we are going to start with Mr. Khalif Jones.
Hey, thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate it. My name is Khalif Jones. Coming from Power Core PHL, that's here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been a part of the Power Core family for the last 8 years. And I moved up the ranks over the years. But one of the most, important parts of my journey was starting as a member. As Stephanie said, well out of you are. I worked my way up with much professional development and as well as guidance. And with that, I became the first alumni to become a full-time staff person. And with that, I was selected to be core member of the year, in which I met, the amazing folks at the core network as well as the other amazing cores, in our country. So I'm stoked. I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait to join this panel and talk about, leadership characteristics and traits that I've learned over the years, and can't wait for the conversation. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Khalees. Aloha, my name is Reina Mitsuda. I am calling in from Hawaii, and I am here representing Kupu. So I was born and raised in Japan and moved to Hawaii when I was in the 3rd grade. And, I just grew up to love the land, appreciate nature, and just all the cultural aspects of it as well. And after my 2nd year in college, I had my first internship with Kupu as a team leader for the HYCC summer program, which is the Hawaii Youth Conservation Corps, and loved it so much that I came back for a 2nd year back in 2021, so this past summer. And, once again, loved it, and that was right when I graduated college, and thankfully, Kupu offered me a full-time position for the HYCC summer program afterwards. So, just growing alongside the company has been really rewarding. Working for a company that I truly believe in their mission statement as well. So it's been great being a part of this process and growing new leaders in the future as well. So yes, stoked to be here as well. And I'll pass it on to the next member.
Good afternoon. My name is Holden Foley. I'm the Director of Restoration for the Conservation Corps of the Emerald and Forgotten Coast. I'm from Apalachicola. I grew up there. I joined the Conservation Corps in 2015. It was a life-changing experience. I just gotten out of jail, just hanging out with the wrong people, doing the wrong things. We're in a small rural community, so there really was nothing else to do but get in trouble. So the Conservation Corps really has made opportunity in Florida, definitely in Franklin County for sure, with helping at-risk youth. Um, I started 2015 as a crew member. I did 1 year service. We worked with the city of Appalach, opening a trail. It was the first trail in the city of Apalachicola. After that, I fell in love with it. I love working outdoors. Helping people is something I've always enjoyed doing. Ever since growing up, my grandpa kind of put that in me as a young age. And so when I got the opportunity, to travel and learn more about how to make myself better and improve the quality of my life and the quality of the members' lives that we serve as well. It's just been a great opportunity and a great ride, and I couldn't ask to work with better people.
Genesis, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Not yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. So my name is Genesis Torres. I am from Body Corps, the Cuerpo de Conservación de Puerto Rico. I'm currently the field supervisor, and I started as being a corps member, and approximately 1 week after joining, Jeanette gave me the opportunity to be one of the leaders. After that, and had an amazing experience, I became the field supervisor of the corps here in Puerto Rico. I currently have a background in environmental science. So as soon as I saw the opportunity to be part of Body Corps, it was one of my dreams come true. I come from background of National Guard and a concentration in water treatment. So as soon as Joe and Jeanette gave me the opportunity to partake in this journey on conservation, it was something magical. And working in the area that we're working right now, which is part of the patriotism here in Puerto Rico, it makes me proud. And it also partaking this conference and talk about 10 attributes of inspirational leaders. It's amazing, and I wish I would have had that when I was growing up. So helping out the youth here and all around the world to see that leaders can be grown everywhere in every part of the world is an amazing thing. So I appreciate it.
Hi, everybody. My name is LaShante Moore. I am the Member Services Coordinator for here at the Core Network. I've been here for 5 years now. I started my core journey as a core member at a Washington, D.C. core. I served 2 years as an AmeriCorps member and ended up on the staff there for 10 years. I think the most important thing for me about core work are the core members. And it's because that's what drives the boat, for lack of a better analogy. Being a core member changed my life so much and gave me a great direction and a path that I didn't even know existed. And so for my work here, my goal is to always put myself in a core member's shoes, because I've been there, and figure out what's the best course of action to make that person successful. I don't get to work with core members on a daily basis. And so in order for me to do that, I do that by supporting core programming. And so I really love what I do. It's changed my life, and I can't wait to jump into this discussion and talk about leadership attributes. So thanks.
So LaShante, that's our fantastic panel. I forgot to give LaShante a moment at the beginning to talk about a contest. So before Joe talks about the reasons why we're talking about inspirational leadership, can you talk about that contest, please?
Oh, sure. So you guys were with us at our opening session, and we announced that we had a social media contest specific for the core member track, directed especially for core members. We were going to end it at 4:30 today, but we want to give you guys a little more time to get those great pictures in that we know that you have. So in order to be a part of the contest, first, you follow us at the Core Network on Instagram. It's at the Core Network. Post a picture. You can DM us a picture of your service experience or your crew at work, or a photo of where you're serving. You can DM it to us, or you can post it to your feed or story and tag us at the Core Network. It's 1 entry per person. Please have your entry in by 8:30 tonight, and someone from our comms team will DM the winner tomorrow. So we're extending the contest until 8:30 tonight because we know you guys want that $75 Amazon gift card. That is the prize. So again, DM us or post a picture to your feed or story and tag us, and we will be picking the winner of the night by 8:30, and you'll be DM'd in the morning if you have won. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
All right, Stephanie, you want me to take from here?
Yes, sir.
So my name's Joe Taylor, and I'm the Executive Director for Franklin's Promise Coalition. And I have the pleasure of working directly with Holden Foley and Genesis Torres with the Conservation Corps of the Forgotten Coast and Bori Corps in Puerto Rico. And so we are very excited about the conversation about the new CCC and all of the great things that will bring. But to be honest with you, it really makes us think too about how we're ready for that to happen. And in conversations I've had with Stephanie, there at the Core Network, and both Holden and Genesis, how can we do any more than we're already doing? Because it takes a lot of, you got to get things really right to expand. And, the conversation is that they want to expand like 6-fold. And so that's a big charge. And what we realized is it really comes down to young people, just like those on this panel, is that's where the rubber meets the road. And that's where we need to learn what it takes to support people like this, and to take what they share with us and learn how to make that part of a strategy for this expansion for the new Civilian Conservation Corps. So I look forward to that work. I think it's extremely important. It's an honor to work with young people, especially with folks like these 5. So I'm excited to hear their perspectives on inspirational leadership. And I want to say, there are a lot of young people who are great facilitators, and they can set up a project, they can do the paperwork, they can make all of those things, happen. But what we're talking about is that next step above. And all we could figure out to call it was inspirational leadership. It is something special that young people have that make folks want to follow them. And they're very humble sometimes when talking about this, but it is something that is very important that we examine. So thank you for the opportunity to be here.
And Joe, I'll add that if you're here, you are somewhere way interested in learning about leadership, and not everyone has to lead from the front. And so, people lead from the back room all the time. So if you're not the person that wants to be in the front, you can still learn a lot from these conversations. And whatever you learn today, I believe that the things that these young people are going to talk about are transferable. Whether you continue in an environmental or conservation path, or you do something else that's your passion and that is your drive, the conversations today are going to matter no matter what. So we're super excited that you're here, and I will turn it back over to the panel.
So I believe we start with LaShante's perspectives. LaShante, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Stephanie. Again, I just want to thank you guys for inviting me to be on this panel. I guess when I think about leadership, the two things that pop up for me is having integrity and being authentic. I think being authentic is kind of what helped propel me into my first leadership position in the Corps world. Like I said, during my introduction, I joined a Corps. I'm not going to say the year because y'all not going to, put me in that kind of situation. But back when I was 20 years old, and I knew nothing about Corps or conservation, climate change, none of that stuff. And honestly, I really didn't really care about those things. I joined the Corps because I wanted to improve my life on a personal level. It was a completely selfish decision. I was okay. I want to work. I want some money. I want to be able to do something with my time. I have these children at home and I have to be able to get something jumping, get something started. And so I joined Earth Conservation Corps here in Washington, D.C. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm not a shy person. I've always been outspoken. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, so I'm used to being in charge and being heard and being listened to, and being the boss a little bit, personally. But here I am at this program, knowing nothing, joining for my own selfish reasons, not knowing anything. And it kind of caused me to shrink into the background a little bit because I didn't want to run this mouth and sound crazy, talking about subjects that I really didn't know or things that I didn't fully understand. And so was definitely not being myself, because that's not who I was. I was the type of person that would, if you see something, say something. That was me. And what the change for me came when we had a partner come in, and they were making plans for our neighborhood. And number one, the plans made no sense. Number two, they were plans for my neighborhood by people who didn't live in my neighborhood or anything like that. And I'm sitting on my hands and I'm biting my nails and I'm, grinding my teeth because I want to say something, but I don't want to be called out for not being as knowledgeable. I felt, less than at that point because, again, I knew nothing about this world or what came along with it. But just by natural, I am able to sit here and not say anything. Just, it just came out. I had to stop and say, well, ask some questions. I challenged the plan is what I did. I challenged the plan. And as I'm sitting there and I'm just asking questions from my own knowledge base, just knowing my neighborhood and knowing the people there, knowing myself, I live here. So I feel like I have a stake in it, and what I have to say should count. And so I challenged it. And from that point on, the leadership at our program were like, well, if you felt this way, why didn't you say something? And I'm like, well, I wasn't sure. I didn't know. And they're like, well, if this is who you are, and if you have something to say, then say it. And then I realized, hold on, that's who I've always been. I've always been the person that if I have something to say, I would say it. I've always been the person that if things didn't look right, I would challenge it. Why would I get into this space and not be who I've always been? You know? And just from me leaning into who I am, opened up a door for me, because a few weeks later, and from doing that, they was like, okay, well then you can be the crew leader in charge of this particular project, which made my day because I love to be in charge. And then that turned into, well, now we want you to be the squad leader for this core year. And it was scary, and it was, surprising for me, because I'm like, I'm leading people in a situation where I barely know exactly what I'm doing. And the one thing that a supervisor said to me was that you're honestly just leading yourself. And if you're leading yourself in the right direction and it makes sense, the core members will have no problem following your lead. And that just was like a ding for me. It was like, wait a minute, is that what I've been doing this whole time? Just being who I am, and letting my own personality shine through, and letting who I really am shine through. That's what being a leader is about. That's what, and it all boils down to not trying to fit myself into a mode that was already created, but leaning into the attributes that were naturally already in me, and not being scared to be me. Because at the end of the day, I have to be the one that's happy with what I'm putting out into this world. I have to be the one that is proud of what I'm putting into this world. And I can't do that trying to be someone else. I can't do that trying to bend myself into something that I'm not. And not only is that something that shows, because when you're not yourself, or you're trying to be something else, it shows and you look crazy. But that was the thing that made me know that being myself and being true to me was the right path for me. And so that's what I've been doing this whole time. I've been in this core world for over 20 years. I can't believe I told y'all that. Don't tell other people. But I've been in this core world for over 20 years. And I found that the best way for me to be, and the best way for me to do the job to the best of my abilities, is just being LaShante. I can't be anybody else. I have to be able to be comfortable to stand in who I am and be able to present that to whoever's coming behind me. And I guess integrity leads into that, because I tell my kids all the time, integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. And when you're in charge of people and you're helping to make the decisions, you got to do the right thing, because they're not looking at you. They don't know. They're gonna trust and follow your word, because you've already established that you can lead them somewhere. And so for me, just being authentic, being true to myself, having integrity has been what has helped me to progress in this world. Like I said, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm now I started as a core member. I'm now here at the Core Network, which is a great position. And I don't think that I would be able to do what I'm doing, if I wasn't LaShante, true and true, all day, every day. So that's my little spiel. And thank you guys for listening.
That was awesome, LaShante. So Genesis, now bring us to the next step.
Yes, I have to agree with everything you said, Lashante. Honestly, authenticity is one of the biggest parts of leadership, and it makes us unique in a way. I've seen different types of leaders, sergeants around the workspace I've worked before. And when you bring that authenticity, it just fits in what is needed at the time. And seeing that um, you found out that in the leadership, going around it and seeing that you had something to say and you didn't truly want to say it and you stop yourself, that authenticity is something that we as leaders fight every single day. Are we going to be truth to ourselves today, or are we going to step back? But honestly, the authenticity is something that we have to keep going on and working on. And that brings me to my two aspects of leadership that I'm working on, and it's initiative and passion. So going through the same line that you went, you took an initiative that you knew was missing in that area of the program, and you saw it, and you had that authenticity then to speak up and have that conversation. And it's part of the initiative is taking action and doing that first step and getting out of that comfort zone. So as leaders, is something that we all have to work on, even if we are a leader of our own lives or doing our workspace. um, Comfort zone is the most difficult part to step out of, and we see that every single day, and it's something that we need to work on. Right now, in the area that I'm working on, is something we do every single day, and it's hard, but it's also so satisfying when you get out of that comfort zone and get those initiatives flowing, and you see the group working on and having that rerun of everything. So it is particularly interesting the way initiative and authenticity like combine and have that flow of things. And then if you see passion and you back it up with that and you go with that, those emotions that we as leaders have to keep, and that self-drive that we have to keep going on, is it, you understand and you find that that guide within yourself, you start guiding those people too. And you see that fusion between initiative, authenticity, and that passion drive that you see as your own self and what motivates you as a person, or particularly as our own likes and passions behind the work we do. And if we see that, particularly, I have an interest in environmental science or everything related to science, if I'm being honest. I'm a really curious person when it comes to working on every single community or helping out persons, and finding out their passions is the thing that drives me on every single day. Making them realize that in every single type of job we do or work or task or helping people out, there's always something that drives us to have that passion behind it. And once you, as a leader, have to engage on that inner passion, inner authenticity, to drive them to have their own passion and work on those, how do you say it, emotions and just motivation in general of what the passion can be. And it's amazing that you have that inner realization, as you say. And it's something I have every single day when you work on that authenticity and that initiative and the passion we have every single day.
I wanted to add authenticity. Always felt authenticity was imperative, especially as it pertains to leadership. Simply, when I talk to, so I help build and cultivate young leaders as part of one of my core responsibilities. But when we talk about authenticity, I always say that if it's not real, our members, they're real. They're human beings. They come from real places, real experiences, real situations. So if how you come off, how you display yourself, how you carry yourself, if it's not real, if it's not genuine, if it's not authentic, it's simply is not going to work. Um, and I feel like, us being leaders in these leadership positions, we owe that to be real, to be honest, to be straightforward, to be direct. So I always been an advocate of authenticity and how it coincides with leadership.
Awesome. Wow. So Holden, you want to take on the next two and continue the conversation?
Yeah, wow, this is amazing. You know, I mean, honestly, they all kind of tie in together. Just kind of going off of what Genesis and Khalif were just saying. You know, mine was a self-driven leader. You know, there's really not too much to explain to that, but a self-driven leader is somebody, you know, that has the drive and has the dedication and the passion, like Genesis was talking about. Because really, without those things, I mean, you're not going to be getting the work done, and that's 80% of our job is to get the project works done, and then the rest is training. You know, you gotta have that skill, because otherwise it goes back to the integrity, like Miss Lashante was talking about. If you're not self-driven, you'll find yourself sitting down and taking breaks longer than you should, maybe goofing off a little bit, just different things like that. And I'm sure we've all experienced it in our core careers and moving up through the chains, especially us that have started from members. You know, we kind of see it all. And I think that's really important as well, just having that perspective of a member and not just somebody that's sat behind a desk their whole life and done paperwork. And I mean, self-driven leaders, they make a team stronger. They usually inspire others, and they just kind of bring everybody together. The second trait that I wanted to talk about was humility. Um, Humbleness is oftentimes can be considered a weakness. Um, I don't think that's true, but a lot of people do. Um, Humble leaders really, they seem more approachable, and I think that's important in the field that we're in and with the demographic that we target. Is just being able to be open, because you never know what these young men and women are going through at home in their personal lives, and you got to be conscious of that. And not just, I mean, a lot of people want to lead the charge, you know, just driving out orders. um Sometimes you can't do that. You know, sometimes you have to kind of sit back and realize, you know, you're not smarter than anybody. You're not the best person in the room. Sometimes you're going to be wrong, even if you've done it for 7, 8 years. People make mistakes, and you've got to be able to take what your crew members say, listen to it, and try it. You know, even if it's not going to work, you got to give it a shot, because that gives them ownership. And then once they get ownership, you don't have to do anything. You can sit in the back seat and watch it play out. It's beautiful. Um, Honestly, I don't have too much else to say. I'm not a big talker, but it's an honor to be up here with y'all five. Y'all are amazing.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
wanted to add to that as well. Humility is always a great trait as well. So a little story. I want to say it was my last cohort as a crew leader, and I had this member come on my crew. And he just had natural leadership ability. Just seemed like just coming out his pores, but he lacked humility. He was like very self-centered and narcissistic and very talented. But when I would put him, give him leadership opportunities, it was tough for him. He was like, I don't understand, like why nobody follows my lead. I said, well, you lack humility. He was like, what's that? I was like, and I had to explain, how, because he knew what humble meant, but he didn't know what humility meant. And I had to explain it to him and really like, break it down and say like, if you add that to your tool set, um, you know, anyone will follow you. They'll follow your command. I was like, you got to show people that, like, even though you're great, you have all these talents, but that you can still have a regular conversation. You aren't afraid to admit some of the things you need to work on. And you offer praise. You just don't, leave all the praise on yourself. So it was those things, he added to his repertoire, and eventually he became a leader in his own right, and still to this day. And humility, it isn't easy, but if you want to be effective leaders, humility um, has to be a priority when it comes to our leadership.
Thank you, guys. Well, we're moving right along. So I'm going to turn it over to Rena so she can start to layer in her thoughts on leadership.
Sure. Yeah, it's awesome hearing everyone's input. And, as Holden mentioned, everything just ties in together, right? And I think I want to start off by how you guys mentioned taking initiative and being self-driven. And that plays into my first topic, which is having a growth mindset versus having a fixed mindset. And this is something that we emphasize through our programs training from day one to our members. And we start off with silly examples like, okay, what's something that you have a fixed mindset on in your day-to-day life? So like something that you just feel like it's not meant for you. It's not in your brains or your natural born talent, and you just don't think that you'd ever be good about it. And for me, it's always, well, I'll never be a good singer. I am terrible. I will never volunteer to sing for anything. I will never sing happy birthday either. I'll just be in the back kind of mouthing it, because I know I don't have a good voice. But my fixed mindset is that I'll never be able to be a decent singer. And that's not true. I could train myself and become a better singer. And that's something that's a silly example to get, our members going. But when you're out in the field, I think you kind of start to notice others and, the members themselves notice their own fixed mindsets. Like they mentioned, hard work isn't really for me. I don't like getting muddy. I'm never going to. Or I had this one particular member who would see me, pushing myself to lift logs more than he could. And he's like, I'll never be as strong as you. Like, I don't know why you're small, but you're so much stronger than me. I'm never going to be able to lift as much as you. And I told him, that's not true. Like, does this make me uncomfortable? Yes. Am I struggling to lift all these logs? Yes, but I'm stubborn. I know that I can lift more if I keep lifting right now. So I'm doing it. And, having these members recognize like, oh, it's not that, Reina as a team leader has this, natural born talent to be a leader, to do so much more than me. It's that she's pushed herself over the years so she can do more. And I think it's really rewarding to see them switch that mindset from, oh, I'm only capable of what I'm naturally gifted to do, and see that, if they're not scared of failure or don't fear trying new things, and, not fixated that, I guess improvement is not possible, then they have so much more that they could grow in. So having that growth mindset, having them believe that their most basic abilities can be developed through dedication, hard work, and practice can really help someone develop, into a greater leader in the future. And I think that ties into my second, trait, which is empowerment. And being a leader, not only do you have to push yourself and have that growth mindset and, be willing to grow as a personal leader, it's also your duty to do that for others and allow them to see their potential. And that's something I personally experienced in my career. As I mentioned, I started off as a team leader for 2 summers. And, after I graduated college, of course, I wanted to progress further into the conservation career, but I felt like, I didn't have as much experience in the management role. So I was like, where do I go from here? And thankfully, I had a great mentor who was my supervisor for the 2 summers, who encouraged me to apply to be a program coordinator. He's like, I understand that maybe on paper you don't have all of these things listed, but I think you have what it takes to grow into that role. And he really encouraged me to apply to be a program coordinator, and thankfully I got the position. So being that leader that allows them to see their potential, and even becoming an assistant manager, I had just become a program coordinator like 2 months before that. So I was like, I'm definitely not qualified on paper to become an assistant manager. But once again, my whole team saw the potential in me and empowered me to take that next step and support me wherever necessary. Like, I know it's your first time in this type of position, but I see the potential in you, and wherever you need support, I am here to help you and become empowered to, feel empowered to take on this next step, even though it may be challenging or scary for you. So being that person that's there to offer support, let them see their full potential, and, just encourage their growth, I think is an important part of being a leader.
Awesome. So, Khalif,
Yes.
I'm sure we're ready for your words of wisdom.
All right, I'm gonna try. All right. First I want to say again, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Joe, for allowing me, and inviting me to be a part of this panel. So I'm gonna be honest, just first to start off, leadership. I have hated leadership for a long time. I know these days, folks will tell me it comes naturally, or they feel as though it's natural, but I've never believed that I could be a leader, at any point, but unbeknownst to me, I was leading in ways that I never thought that I was. And it wasn't until I got the power core where, I was paired up with some amazing people. My first crew leader, Mike Herman, like my first, mid evaluation, he told me that my next step should be an assistant crew leader, which assists the crew leader. And once he said the word leader, I'm like, you think that's me? Like I don't think I, have any of those intangibles that I can help, someone lead from, from the back or from the side, but I can't be that guy. He just told me it was things that he's seen that, showed him that I had that ability. So I just want to say leadership is essential. There's a group or a collective of people. A lot of times, most likely, you're going to need someone with leadership characteristics to get a task, get a project, get it complete. Um, so I always was an advocate of leadership. But as we learned over the years, a lot of us in this call, there's different kinds of leadership, and with that comes those different traits and characteristics. Two of mine in particular that works for me, but also two that I always find myself teaching others about is vulnerability and influence. First one being influence. I know contrary to popular belief, everyone feels authority is how lead. And what you'll realize is, especially going back to Holden's point, working with the demographic and the population that we work with, authority might not always be the best source of leadership. It's influence. And what I've learned over the years is that influence is more sustainable and it lasts longer. I know we all have probably had that boss, once upon a time where we only followed them or listened to them because we felt that we had to. We didn't want to lose our job, so we followed that person. But that's probably because of the authority. But when it's influence that's pushing the envelope, you follow that person because you feel as though you believe in them. You believe in their skill set. You believe that they have the capability to not only lead you, but to make sure that you're successful. So it's always good to lead with influence. Second, vulnerability. This is another one that might come across, and people might think being vulnerable at times is considered weak, or not the most likeliest traits of leadership. But what I've learned over the years as well is that people that you lead, they have to see themselves in you. If you're this larger than life personality, or you're this perfect Patty or perfect Patrick, it's going to be kind of hard to lead for folks to see themselves and hopefully want to emulate you and be like you in the future because you appear as perfect. You portray perfection, and we all know that's not realistic. And I always teach that it's not perfection, it's progress. So I always, every time I'm given opportunity, I speak of my imperfections. I speak of my faults, my flaws, my areas of opportunity, things that I'm still working on myself because we're humans. We're evolving creatures. We're always learning. That's a big part of leadership as well. The learning component. You learn your people. You learn how to work with them. You learn how to be the most effective leader that you can be. Because at the end of the day, the most thing that matters the most is their advancement and their experience from your leadership. So those are two things that I've always prioritized during my time in the leadership capacity.
Thanks, Khalif. So does anybody have something the panelists that are just kind of pulling that you really want to get out there? Anything you want to echo?
Yeah, Joe, thanks. First, I'm so honored to be on this panel. You guys have such a great perspective on leadership, and thanks again for including me. I just wanted to add something, and again, like Holden and everyone said, all of these things kind of piggyback off of each other. So I'm probably repeating something in just another way that one of my other esteemed panelists have already said. But one thing I wanted to add in this leadership conversation is being the kind of leader that you would want to follow yourself. I've always, when I worked day to day with core members, I always said I would never put them in a position that I wouldn't want to be in myself. I would never ask them to do a job or do a task or do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And that stems from being the kind of leader that you will want to follow. So if you know that, you know, this isn't something that you would do yourself, that this isn't something that you would want for you, then you should, as a leader, you should not be forcing that on someone else or encouraging somebody to do something. And then in the aspect of working on crews and being, you know, down in the trenches and down working hard, could never follow someone who leaned against the wall while I planted the tree. You know, as a leader, you have to be willing to get down in the trenches with your crew and do the things that they would do. You lead by example. I think Khalif said that. And so I just wanted to make sure that I added that in before we wrapped up. You be the kind of leader that you would follow.
So glad you said that, LaShante, because when you are talking about the attributes, integrity, and you said your guiding principle and that you share with your children is, you know, do what's right even when no one's looking. But I think inspirational leaders operate as though they know everyone's looking. And I've had the pleasure of working with Holden and LaShante, and I think the two things that make them stand out, especially in my mind, is that they're right there doing it. And they're not, it's like LaShante saying, they're not leaning against the wall. When LaShante's cleaning out the closet at the core network, even though it's not her role, we want to help her. We're like, hell, let us help you clean out the closet. Let us do it for you because she's willing to do it and we're looking. And so even when she's not trying, she's become our leader, and it's more than being a boss. Right. And same with Holden. I've seen him on the project side and he's out there, you know, teaching and showing, and he's the first one to start chainsawing a tree, and that everybody's out there and wants to do it. And so, I mean, I just wanted to make the point that inspirational leaders know they're being watched and they just do it with the people that they're asking to do. So kind of the same as what LaShante, leading by example and just willing to dig in.
Yep. Awesome. So we're going to have a few minutes left for questions, right? So folks can put them in the chat, or if you're online, you can unmute yourself and ask. But I did want to just add one little piece, a piece of gratitude to this group. It's such an honor to get to work with young people like this. I particularly, it's stuck in my mind, Rena's like growth mindset. And I can tell you that the moments that we get to spend with folks, it's like the brain is always churning. Things are always getting better. We're always figuring out, you know, what the next steps will be. And it's just an exciting time. And so I want the panelists to know that, you know, you guys are representing, you know, others just like yourselves out in this movement, and you guys collectively are the future of this. There'll be a day when folks like Stephanie and I'll be retired, and we will just be talking about these days, you know, when things begun. And so I'm extremely grateful of your passion to support the young people as they come along and the work that you do, because this movement would not be the same without you and people like you. So with that said, did we get any questions?
I don't see any in the chat, but if anyone has one, they can just come off mute. Do you guys see my word art? Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. So Charles says, not a question, but thank you to everyone for all the great insight.
So I will say that Stephanie put this Wordle together of all of the comments that the group discussed in preparation for this workshop. So you can see there are quite a few there. The other thing that they mentioned that I thought was important was servant leaders. And I think that's what Stephanie was speaking to, is many of these folks, you know, they're not in the background. They're active leaders, and you know, they're with their members, they're with their crew leaders. So I think that's something to say.
And Sean has his hand raised. Hey, Sean.
Hey, all. Thanks for letting me hop in, and thanks for sharing your experiences, variational. The question I have for the panel, you all are great young leaders, and just wanted to get the landscape of what you all are thinking about going on into the future. What qualities of employer are you looking for as you kind of look down your future career path, 5-10 years from now?
I guess I'll start. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. 5-10 years from now, well, I'm at the core network. I'm not going to say I won't be here. I'm going to say in 5 or 10 years, maybe I'll have Marie's job. Is she on here? Don't tell her I said that, though.
She'll give it to you in 5 or 10 years. I'm telling her.
Was anyone else want to answer the question?
I think Holden.
Go ahead, Cleve.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So, yeah. Over the well, recently I just turned 30. That's still crazy to me, but thinking about this future, I feel right now, I'm in a position where I'm doing something I love to do and something I feel is needed. Because there's nothing like working with people who, to be honest, look like me, come from the places and experiences that I've been through, but also are in that same place that I was. And now, I'm support. I'm somebody they can look to help navigate them through whatever journey that they may be going on. So it has to be something that resonates with that. But also I want to be doing something where I'm making a change. I'm making a difference. Something was one way, but I came in, I worked with a team and we, did something that was good, not only for one generation, but for generations to last. That is sustainable, everlasting, and it's positive. So something along those lines, whatever that may be, only God knows, but it's kind of my plan.
Yeah, so Sean, I'm pretty much, I think, where I'm gonna be at. I love my job. I love what I do. I'm very passionate about nature. I mean, you can't really beat a job where you're where you're out in the woods, not really. But just working with young people and hearing their perspectives on life, it'll kind of get you thinking. Like it'll put you back in your mind and make you self-reflect, on the things that you had when you were growing up, and the similarities that there is. And it's just you find out really how corrupt, the world can be, to young adults. It's honestly horrible. And I don't think that's going to change with the government anytime soon. So it's left up to us to kind of give these young adults hope and let them know that, there is people out here that do care about them and their future and want to see them do great things. That not everybody in the world's out to get them. So unless Joe fires me, this is where I'm at.
He won't.
So does
For
anybody
me,
else want to talk about the future there?
yeah, for sure. I think as I've been mentioning, I'm new into, the real career world. I just got out of college, so I'm still trying to figure it out. I do definitely want to continue to be in a position where I can inspire new future leaders and encourage their love for the environment and protecting it and giving back to the INA. So I hope to be able to do that. And to be completely honest, I hope in 5-10 years, we're at a place where our government and our leaders value conservation work a little bit more and is willing to provide that incentive to keep this work going, because I know when I'm interacting with these young developing leaders, they're thinking about going to college or what they want to do in the future after high school, and they see that there are better paying jobs out there. There are better ways to sustain a family in the future if that's what they want, or better ways to sustain whatever lifestyle that they hope to have in the future. And of course we still get those young adults who are like really passionate about it. They don't mind that, and they're like, no, this is what I want to do and with our lives, which is awesome. But I hope in the future that we're able to provide extra incentives other than the fact of like giving back to our environment, for sure.
So I'm in the same line as you, Reina. I'm starting to finish college right now in environmental science. So as of right now, I'm really content in what I'm doing and the idea behind helping the community in El Morro and all those aspects. But in the future, I love to help out in the effects of climate change and conservation in those areas of coastal restoration and the effects they're having right now in our island. So that's the focus. I've loved to do programs and do those projects that are needed to be done and addressed, and issues that I know youth are excited to form part of. And that will honestly be it for me if I can help the youth know about the effects they're having with the climate change and what we can do as a community to help address those issues. Even though we don't have to wait for the government, we can do hands-on and work those things out as a community and as a region. And hopefully I can do that for the rest of my life and help that community and help that those connections and help the youth in any way possible. And if it screens better, so.
Thank you. We do have a question. I know we're down to 1 minute, but if we could answer this question maybe quickly, maybe one or two people. What are some tips to lead members over the hump in the middle of their term, especially for those that are in a minimum term of only 300 hours? Any tips on how to motivate a member?
Real quick, I know we're short on time, but simply remind them of who they are, remind them of why they're here, and also remind them that they have support. There are 3 things that I've been in that position where motivating a whole cohort, and there are 3 key things that always comes to mind.
That is a perfect answer.
Awesome. Okay, so we're at the end of our time. That went fast, didn't it? You guys are amazing. And I do want to share really quickly for anyone that's still on. We have everyone's contact information here. And they've all agreed that if you want to reach out to them or ask any questions, then by all means, their email is here. And I think these will be shared with all the attendees, so you don't have to memorize it. And then I just want to remind you that the movie is starting at 6:30, so join us for that. It's a really great movie that, especially for those that are interested in leadership or working with young people, that you'll get a lot out of. And so it's 5:01, but does anyone have any end of workshop take with you comments? You've already said so much. It's okay if you don't have anything else.
Stephanie, I'm going to say this.
Yes.
It's exciting times, and to know that we get to work with young people like this, it's just incredible. So we're going to
Absolutely.
leave it in good hands, Stephanie.
Yes, thank goodness. Okay, well, thank you all for being here. Thank you to the panelists. You are all amazing. Keep doing the great work that you're doing. And we'll see you all soon. Bye.
All
Bye,
right,
y'all. Thank y'all.
appreciate you guys. It's an honor.